So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Tam of Nom Nom Paleo. And today I'm going to show you how to make my Coco-Nutty Dark Bark, which is the simplest candy that you can make for people. Is it paleo? Not really. Yes, someone says, oh my god, Nom Nom Paleo read my turtle message. Yes, I read all of these if I'm paying attention to the screen. So I had a few questions already. One of the big questions is this a paleo treat? And the answer is no, because there really is no such thing as a paleo treat. But I do eat chocolate on occasion, probably more frequently than just occasionally. I think this is a super easy treat to make for your friends, and it's tasty and it doesn't have a bunch of junk in there. And so someone had asked what kind of chocolate I use. I linked to the chocolates that I use on my blog. So I do have a post on nomnompaleo.com. But what I'm using today is I have this 70% green and black dark chocolate. The reason why I'm using 70% is because I'm gifting this to people who don't normally eat paleo. So it can't be super dark. Like if I were making it for myself, I would totally use 85% or 91% because I like it less sweet. What is the brand? This is green and black. I also like Ultra Eco. I think Theo's makes great chocolate. Madacass makes great chocolate. You want to find something that's like fair trade and, you know, sourced from, you know, non-slave chocolate farms. So I've already cut up a whole bunch here. Let me make sure you guys can see this. So in my recipe, I put on some toasted unsweetened coconut flakes, and I just toasted this in my toaster oven over there. 300 degrees. I like to put it on the convection because that way the hot air circulates. If you don't have a convection oven, 300 is fine. Just toast it for 5 minutes. This takes about 4 minutes, so you cut off like a minute. And you like it so that it's nice and toasty on the edges. You see that? And coconut can burn in just a second, so you do have to make sure that you're keeping an eye on it. And then I just put it aside to cool down. I have a 1/4 cup of cranberries. I just have this Trader Joe's stuff. They have these organic dried cranberries. It does have a little sugar in it, but I'm not stressed out about it because we are making chocolate and it has sugar in it already. You can also cook coconut flakes in a pan on stove. Yes, you can totally do that. I have burned it before though, so you do have to watch it carefully. I actually saw in America's Test Kitchen that you can toast coconut in the microwave. I've never tried it, but they said that it's a good alternative and you don't burn it. And then I also have a 1/2 cup of toasted and salted macadamia nuts. And the key is I like these salted. I know a lot of people may not like, or thinking, why would you put salty nuts on it? And it's because it tastes really good. Like the contrast of the tangy cranberries, the sweet chocolate, and the salty nuts and the, you know, crunchy coconut flakes is perfect. So one of the tips, again, the step-by-step recipe is on my blog, but I wanted to show you some key stuff that I do that will ensure success. So this chocolate bar, you can see has a lot of different squares. I actually don't break it up in these squares because I don't think that it melts as well. What I do, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I just cut it on the diagonal and I just make these really thin shards because this, and then after I've done one side, then I flip it and I do the other corner because this will make it so that the chocolate melts evenly, and that's very important. And it doesn't take that long. You need a sharp knife. I like using a serrated knife for this, and a serrated knife just, you know, has little teeth on the bottom. I'm sure a bunch of you have a bunch of bread knives lying around, like I have this bread knife lying around. And I just do one corner and then the other corner, and then it kind of forms a triangle, and then I just go straight down, and it's really fast. And my recipe calls for a pound of chocolate, which is approximately 4 chocolate bars, because most chocolate bars these days are 3.5 ounces. And you can also buy, I think there are places where you can buy 1 pound chocolate bars. And you can do that if you want. Alright, so if you can see here, this is all my chocolate. It's all shaved. I'm going to put it in a glass bowl. And the easiest way for me to transfer this is I just, I have this little scraper that I've had forever. And I love it because it also has like, you know, inches on the bottom. I don't know if you guys can see that. So whenever I'm doing a recipe and I need to figure out how big my my chunks are, I just use this little scraper. But the scraper will scrape it right into your bowl. And you have 2 choices on how you want to melt the chocolate. You can melt it in the microwave. I know some of you don't have microwaves or you don't like microwaves. I think microwaves are okay and they're perfectly fine for stuff like melting chocolate. So I can tell you both ways that you can do it. Alright, so I've scooped up all the chocolate. And I put it in a glass bowl because you want something that is either microwave safe or heat safe because you can either do it on a double boil. Would this be considered dairy-free for those with allergies? I think so. This is dairy-free chocolate, and I don't have any other dairy in there, so yes, I would think that it is dairy-free. I'm not using milk chocolate. I'm using dark chocolate, and the chocolate I'm using has no dairy. I'm going to even look on the label. As far as I know, it doesn't. But it does have soy lecithin, so if you guys are against soy, then you probably shouldn't pick this brand. And so the way that I melt it, I'm going to show you really quick. So right behind me, I have a saucepan. Can you guys see this? With simmering water. And you don't want the water to actually like reach up and touch the bottom of your bowl, but you just slowly melt your chocolate over that like a double boiler. Or you can microwave it, which I'm going to do really quickly because then that's really fast. Hey Ollie, do you want to say hello to people while I microwave so they don't think it's boring? No, see, sorry, he doesn't. He doesn't want to talk to you guys. I'm sorry. All right. I want to. You do? Okay. So now I'm gonna move this towards the microwave. I don't know if I can. It's okay. I will throw it in and I'll come back and I'll answer questions. So I'm going to throw it in for 30 seconds on high, and then when I take it out, I'm going to stir it really well. I almost always microwave chocolate to melt it. Yes, it is much easier and faster, and you don't have to wash an extra pot. And so now I did that as a prop, and now I have to wash that later, which is kind of a pain. But basically, this is the hardest part, is just melting the chocolate and chopping it the way I did to show you guys before. But otherwise, it's a super simple recipe. Oh, it's done. Okay, so the first 30 seconds doesn't really do too much. You can see the bottom is melted. So it says, how sweet is it? So this is a 70%, a pound of 70% chocolate, and that's because I'm gifting this to other people who are not paleo, and 70% is as high as I can go with most people. Is the bench scraper OXO? Yes, it is. It is an OXO bench scraper. Okay, so I'm going to stir this a little bit. It's not super melted, but I'm going to throw it in for another 30 seconds on high. And then another key thing to note about melting chocolate is you never want to get water in there because it'll seize up. So you just have to be careful not to get water in there. You have to make sure it doesn't burn. You just cut it up in nice shards and you should be set. I already have a baking pan set aside with some parchment on top, and then once everything's melted, I'll just pour it on top, and I will use a spatula to make it all smooth, and then we just put the topping on, and then we refrigerate it. So this is... And I'm breaking it up into 30-second intervals because you really can, because the microwave doesn't really heat evenly, you can totally burn parts of it. And now it's like a little bit more melted on the bottom. And it really does go from this state to like all melted by the next time I throw it in the microwave. Put this in for another 30 seconds. Okay, I burned chocolate in the microwave, so I only use the stove method now. Yes, so that is the problem with microwaving chocolate, is you could potentially burn it because every microwave has different, wattages, and the older ones are different from the new ones. I missed the first part. I am making, see, I can actually read your comment. I am making my Coco-Nutty dark bark that I put on the blog just now. That kitchen is everything. Well, thank you. It actually is super messy, and I've put all the messy stuff on the floor where you guys can't see it. Haha, haha, it's true, right, Ollie? Oh, see, and that is my Instant Pot letting me know that my pressure cooker Kalua Pig will be ready for dinner. Okay, so this, I'm going to just keep stirring it, but this is almost done. So normally I do 30 seconds times 3, and then I will do another 15 seconds, and then I'll just do a lot of stirring afterwards. And it should melt. I love melted chocolate. Do you like it, Ollie? I don't know. He doesn't like 70%. It's too bitter. It's too dark, he says. And it's actually too sweet for me. I remember when I used to think 65% was too dark, but now I like 85 and 90%. Okay, so I'm gonna just do it for 15 more seconds. And then, and in terms of toppings, the 3 toppings I'm putting on this one are my favorite. Eating your bagel bacon burgers. Oh, thank you. That is one of our favorite recipes. I love toasted coconut, salty macadamia nuts, and cranberries. But I know a lot of people don't like coconut, or they like almonds. So you can mix and match it however you like, and it'll work out. So I'm going to take chocolate out one last time.
Can you put candy on it?
I'm not putting candy on it. This is already candy, dude. Okay, but there's like the peppermint bark. And I think
35%.
35%? Ew.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
What's those white chocolate?
I made your Kalua Pig last weekend. It was delicious. Thank you. Did you do the slow cooker or the pressure cooker? Because I almost only do the pressure cooker version now because it's so dang easy and it's so fast. And I think the texture is better. Does shredded coconut work also? Yes. I think it's hard to buy unsweetened shredded coconut, and it's hard to toast it. So if you don't care that it won't be toasted, or you can toast it, you just have to be careful that you don't burn it, and it's easier to burn. I'm not supposed to bring a dessert for Christmas this year, but I think I'll make this anyway. You totally should. Slow cooker, you need to get the Instant Pot. Yes, the Instant Pot is amazing. I use it like several times a day. That might be a little unusual for most folks, but I have to do a lot of recipe testing. Trader Joe's has some unsweetened. That's great, and that's where I got almost everything. Like I bought my cranberries at Trader Joe's. I bought my macadamia nuts at Trader Joe's. The baked coconut flakes I didn't get there. I bought this Let's Do Organic coconut flakes. What is your job? This is my job. I'm also a full-time mom. I used to be a drug dealer, but this is what I do now. All right. So now everything's ready. I have my really dirty rimmed baking sheet. I have some parchment on top. And this is nice and smooth. So it was 30 times 3, and then I did an additional 15 seconds.
Mom.
And everyone's all laughing, but I really was a drug dealer. Professionally, I was a drug dealer. And I dealed drugs in the middle of the night. And I did that for 12 years. So let's see. All right, so now, this is all you do. You just pour it right into, right onto the parchment. And I like to kind of form it into like a rectangle. But again, you're gonna break this up in kind of uneven chunks, so if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Can you guys see this? Let's see, let me push this back. And again, as I said before, this is super easy and super, see, this is a bigger bowl than I like. It's super easy and super customizable. So you can customize it with the kind of chocolate you use. You can use, you know, higher cacao chocolate. You can use lower cacao chocolate. You can top it with whatever you want. And the reason why you see so many bark recipes all over the place is because it's so dang easy. Like you just saw right here. This is super easy. So you just use a rubber spatula and you just smooth it until it's about, I don't know, like between 1/8 and 1/4 inch thick. The thinner it is, the easier it will be for you to break. If you have it too thick in parts, you'll have to break out a knife to cut up your bark. And I remember when I was a kid, and my mom is a really good baker, and she still is a really good baker. But every time she would use her spatula to like smooth over like some batter or put on some frosting, I was always mesmerized. So I still really like, there's something very soothing and meditative about it. And that's probably why I'm not stopping, because I think it's so awesome. But I will stop now. Alright, I think that's good. So you want to just use a rubber spatula. You can use an offset spatula, that's even better, but then I'd have to wash something else. And so I'm just going to use the same rubber silicone spatula that I was using before to mix the chocolate. And that's it. Licking the spoon is my kid's fave. I think it's my fave, but I'm going to set this aside. Alright, so here it is. This is a big, flat surface of melted chocolate. Oh, since they listen to my podcast on the way to work and your kids crack me up. Did you hear that? Someone likes you guys on the podcast.
Okay.
Say thank you.
Look, you see this box on the floor? Smash.
Why would you smash a paper?
Even on the bottom that I didn't show you was actually broken.
Alright, so this, so now you just put the toppings. I like to put the coconut flakes on top. I mean, if you're gifting someone, you know, you want to make sure that you have like the nice big coconut flakes and not the stuff at the very bottom that's all powdery, because it looks prettier. But I think the people I'm gifting this to don't really care. I'm just going to put it on top. And if there are some that aren't actually in the chocolate, you just kind of push it down and it should stick. Someone says, those are adorable. Thank you. I don't always act adorable.
No, we don't.
Yeah, did you hear me? Says, no, we don't. Because you're real. You're a real boy, right, Ollie? Alright. So that is coconut. I'm going to put in the salted macadamia nuts. And these I like halved. Like there's a whole one, but I'm just not going to break out a knife for that. But the halves I think fit really well. And they're really pretty. And I just dot them all over the place instead of just throwing them. Because then sometimes if you throw them, they like, they'll get all brown. And I think it looks prettier if it's, the toppings are just on top. Okay, cannot see all your comments. So if you see me like looking down and I miss your question and you really want to ask me, make sure I'm looking up. You are looking so lean. I am not that lean, but thank you. I'm working with my trainer once a week, and like today I went to the gym. My big goal is to get an unassisted pull-up, and I have an unassisted chin-up, but I kind of jellyfish at the very top, so it's not, I don't think it's an actual chin-up, but I'm working on it, and then eventually I'll have it with the overhand grip And that is my goal.
Go by tomorrow.
By tomorrow. Yes. Oh, and the way I figured out how I would be motivated to keep on, trying to get my pull-up is that I came up with a negative consequence. And I learned that from Steve Camp's new book, of Nerd Fitness. He said the only way that you'll be motivated to actually reach a goal is if you have a bad consequence that will happen if you don't do it. And so I figured one out, and I've been practicing because I don't want it to happen. Honey is proven to work in medical studies. Honey and lemon. Oh, is someone sick? I'm assuming that's what those comments are. So I'm just gonna finish putting the macadamia nuts. And then I dot it with the cranberries. Cherries are also great. Apricot is a traditional French, dried apricot is a traditional topping for French chocolate bark. I like to drop pistachios. Yeah, pistachios and dried cranberries I think are a great combination. But I really like coconut and macadamia nuts, so that's why I like it on this. How long does the chocolate stay melted for? Depends how cold your house is. But it's still totally melted. Some people, it'll harden in about 2 hours depending on how cold your house is. I pop this in the fridge for 30 minutes to harden completely before I break it. And then I have one that I'll show you that I made yesterday, and I just kept it in the fridge. I think everything's okay. All right, so here it is. Again, the proportions are 1 cup of toasted coconut flakes, 1/2 cup of macadamia nuts, and then like 1/4 cup of dried cranberries. And then you would stick this in the fridge. And thanks to the magic of Periscope, here is the finished product. So this is the one I made yesterday and was in the fridge. And then I'll show you how I break it up. So you can just take this off because it's now like hardened right out of the pan. And so you can either just break it up with your hands, and if you do that, just make sure your hands are covered by the parchment because you don't want all your fingerprints on here unless you're eating it yourself, and then nobody cares. I have not mailed them before just because I'm never sure if it'll melt, or sometimes, especially during the Christmas season, things get jostled around. I'm trying to send a package to a little girl in the UK, and it was supposed to have gotten there by December 4th, but when I was looking at the tracking, it went from like the San Francisco Bay Area to LA, and I guess on a plane to the UK, and then instead of going in like a mail van or whatever in the UK, it went back on a plane to Portland, and so now it's back to LA and it's flown to the UK again. So if that's what happens with that little package, I would hate to see what would happen to the candy you're sending. Okay, so basically I just kind of stick a knife and I break it in sections. And then you can score it, you can do it however you want. You can have it look, more uniform. You can break it in jagged pieces. It's whatever you want to do. Now I'm just using the same knife that I cut the chocolate with, so I don't have to wash another one. So I basically just scored it. And then another thing you can do if you want to, you can use like a little sandwich bag. That way you can actually touch it, and then you just break it. And today is actually a little warmer in the Bay Area, so this is already getting kind of soft. I want to stick this in the fridge as soon as I'm off Periscope. And about 1 pound, I think, will make about 4 generous gifts. You give your friend the whole pound if you want, But I think if you have like a quarter pound, oh, that's really cool. I like it. Here, everybody, this is what he made. And so this is all ready. Here, I'll show you guys a piece. It's delicious, it's easy, and you can package it. Here, I'll show you how I would package it. These are some, these are called little baker bags that you can buy. I've linked to one on my blog post. They're lined inside, and then I normally put in like pieces. That's good. This is like a fourth of it. And then it folds over and it has like a little tie at the end. And then if you go to my blog post, Henry actually created some really cool stickers that you guys can print out. Does this need to be refrigerated? Yes, I think so. Because like right now, I think it's around 65-ish or 70, and it's already kind of melty. So I refrigerate it. If I'm eating it myself, I will put it in like a sealed container and I'll refrigerate it for up to a week. These I'm going to distribute like right after I'm done. And then I will tell my friends to put them in the fridge if they don't eat them soon enough. So here are two labels that you can download and print from my site. They say Nom Nom Coco-Nutty Dark Bark. And so this one is the one you use if you actually use the labels that are the 2.5-inch circles. Because it's printed a little bit over so that it'll for sure run red all the way to the edge. But if you're just gonna print them out and cut them out yourself, then this is the one you should use. And it's clearly labeled as such in my post. So just so you know, there are two different labels depending on how you're gonna cut them out. And that is it. Super easy peasy, and you should totally make these for your friends. So I hope you guys have a happy Wednesday. Any last questions before I sign off? Nope, thank you for the hearts. And that's that. Adios, people.